Hey, I was out at the graveyard there, and I heard a baby crying somewhere. What? An abandoned baby? Truth is, maybe it was just in my head, but it sounded like it was coming from inside the burial mound, the Ishikawa's tomb. My lord, it's terrible. What's the matter, Tomikichi? The madam's grave. And so, the group of them gathered around the grave and dug it up. And what they saw was a baby crying from inside the tomb. It was still attached to its deceased mother via the umbilical cord. Today's horror manga dub in narration is Memento by Junji Ito. If you enjoy the story at any point in time, please do not hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right into Junji Ito's Memento. Now this is a surprise. I've heard talk of things like this, but it really does happen. Been about 9 months since the madam passed. Quite something how it grew in the belly of her corpse. And then, a doctor went into the tomb, delivering the baby and passing it toward the young man, saying, "Young sir, this would be your child then." That's ridiculous! This is impossible! Someone must have abandoned the baby in the grave! No, this child is legitimate. See? The cord's still attached. Impossible. At any rate, it's to be celebrated, sir. That's right. A keepsake from your late wife. Oh, wait a second. The young master took his mistress as his new wife. They only just had a baby of their own. Is this really a happy event then, I wonder? The baby wailed on as everyone took one final look at his late wife. The next day... Oh, it's so disturbing, a baby born of a dead woman. But it is indeed Toyoji's child. We must raise it for appearances, if nothing else. Appearances went out the window when Toyoji took his mistress as his wife. Toyoji journeyed down the hallways toward the room where his late wife was. She said to him, "What on earth do you want? I'm not raising that child. I barely have enough milk for Shinosuke. Nursing the baby of your first wife and born of a corpse? You can't be serious." Well, I'll get a nurse for the child. You needn't worry, Omitsu. I'll have the maid Otane take care of him. As promised, he brought the baby boy over to the maid Otane, saying, "Please take care of the baby, Otane. Obviously, you don't have any milk, so give it water from the rice washing, or goat's milk." Yes, sir. And what's the child's name? His name? Right. Manjuro. Good, I suppose. After hearing that name, the baby lit up. He seemed to like it. Oh, there, Manjuro. The baby continued to coo with joy. But the dead Osuzu, she couldn't have had children to start with. So then, why? He remembered that day from the previous year. Darling, isn't your mistress in the family way? Oh, Suzu, how do you? I know everything. You've got some nerve just because I can't have children. Do you intend to make the child your heir? What are you talking about, Osuzu? It's fine, you should. Osuzu, will you stop already? I'm not saying this out of spite. I'm saying it's a good idea. The baby that concubine bears will be our child. I have that much right at least. Osuzu. He journeyed to where his mistress was and explained the situation. That's what she said. What do you think, Omitsu? But she cried and bellowed, saying that the child should be hers. She couldn't believe that Toyoji would say such a thing and agree. How could I? I couldn't upset you like that. Later that night, the man and his mistress had a very intimate moment. She said how she loved him so very much and how he belonged to only her. The night waned on, and she said, Toyoji. What is it? She stared at him deep in the eyes, and then she said, Kill your wife. Sweat dripped down his brow as he turned over and grabbed a nearby pack of cigarettes, pulling out an individual cigarette and lighting it. Hey, I know someone with a poison imported from Europe. He says when you administer this poison, the person gets weaker and weaker and then dies. And no one can tell that it was poison. So, you'd do it if you loved me. A month later. Madam, are you feeling poorly? Yes, I just tire so easily of late. And then she collapsed against her table. Madam! And then, a month later, exactly 9 months ago, Osuzu died. Just as Umitsu said, no one realized she had been poisoned. But she couldn't bear children, and yet she had a child after she died. It's bizarre. 3 years later, a group of children are playing together, and then... Manjuru's looking at us! And so it was true. There was the child born of a corpse, his eyes sunken, and his lips swollen. There certainly was something uncanny about the boy, and the children noticed it, screaming, creepy, run! Mommy! What's the matter, Shinosuke? Manjuro, he's scaring me. Manjuro, you go over there. Shoo, shoo. And so, she tied him up against a tree. Manjuro, what happened? Oh, you poor dear. The madam tied you up again, I'll untie you right now. Oh, Tane! Huh? Who said you could untie him? I'm terribly sorry, miss. It's because of Manjuro that Shinosuke is so timid. You're not disciplining him properly. Come, I'll discipline you first. Madam, I beg your forgiveness. Disgusting. If my father-in-law didn't go on and on about appearances, I would have chased you two out long ago. Madam, I beg you. Manjuro doesn't mean any harm. His very existence is harmful. He was born from a corpse. Madam, I beg of you. Later that night. Hey, Omitsu, you're still doing this. That's enough already. This is all your fault. To think you would try to have a child with your wife when she was dying. What's so funny, Otane? It's just, she wasn't dying. What? It would have been better if they made the child while she was alive, but I saw him the night of the wake. The master went to the former madam's dead body. Manjuro is the product of that coupling. I know it, a nurse's intuition. What? Is this true? I had no choice. She asked me to. The night of the wake, I was alone in the altar room. Before I knew it, Osuzu was looking at me. She uttered, "Darling, come to me. I want a baby." She just asked me to. You, how filthy! She couldn't believe her eyes. There stood Manjuro, with his sunken eyes and the biggest smile on his face. Something was not right with that boy. Already 9 months since the master's second wife passed, I heard she went a little out of her head before she died, and the maid, Otane, took her place as the master's wife the other day. Little did anyone know that from beneath the grave, they heard a baby crying. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. I'd like to take this time to give a very special thanks to my Patreons and YouTube members. Sarah de Jesus, Moto Surf, Cleo, Dason Animus, Ali Wei, Pteranodon Girl 1, and Minue. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you're important and you matter. Have a good night, everyone. Goodbye.